welcome to the stage Jess Hilarious in conversation with Bre Teamer.
Thank you for being here.
Thank y'all for having me. This is nice. I love that Black Writers Weekend exists, especially right now. And they're trying to erase our literature. They're trying to erase everything, our stories, our voices, everything. So this is really, really great. And shout out to y'all for coming out in the rain. I know y'all was like, look, forget this. Look out. I thank y'all for coming out.
So, Jess, let's talk about you a little bit. I mean, from the Breakfast Club, comedy shows, all kinds of things. Now you're an author.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tell us, why did you decide to write a book?
I decided to write a book, and on the topic of why I decided to write a book is because there is a stigma that we need to start one step at a time to kill, right? There's a stigma put on families, especially Black families, that when the relationship ends, it's like the end of the world. We can't continue to co-parent effectively because of all the toxicity and all the dysfunction and everything like that, when it doesn't have to be that way, you know? And there are moments, pivotal moments in a relationship that you go through all while through it and after it, right? Where you want to get past all the issues, anything back. And I think, man, if we can do it, because I've been to jail and everything, if we can do it, everybody can do it. Trust me, I know that to be true. So that's why I wrote the book, you know.
So the first chapter kind of starts off you being 19 years old, kind of navigating this situation and whatnot. I mean, what do you think life would be like if you decided to, you know, not go through with this? So that was something that was a conversation within you and Rome.
I don't know, you know, I try not to think about where I would be if I didn't go through with having my son, although in the very beginning, which I write about in the book, I'm very vulnerable with this part because I didn't want a child that early, and I was battling in my mind, just wrestling with the fact, like, oh my God, if I do get rid of this baby, then I won't keep my boyfriend. You know, at 19, I'm thinking like that, and you know, and even when my mom sat down with me and told me, listen, this is ultimately your decision. We got to carry these kids. We got to take care of them. We have to be the primary parent because, you know, we bear everything for them. You know, we're the homemaker, we're the providers, not to shun the dads, but we are the ones that have to carry the baby and take care of it. You know, I still made a selfish decision. I wasn't really thinking about I made a selfless decision and selfish at the same time because it's selfish towards your child, right? To bring a baby into this world knowing that you're not ready, you know, but I did it for all the wrong reasons, should I say. And yeah, I had to be open about that part. And I wasn't even gonna put that part in the book, but I know a lot of other women, young girls, younger women, older women, they go through that as well, and they're not by themselves. We have that sometimes.
I feel like that's so heavy, and that is a lot to carry.
Yes.
I mean, you were only 19 years old doing this, just out of high school. I mean, do you give yourself credit for that?
I do. I give myself credit because I know, you know, there are girls who have kids way younger, you know, and there are women who have kids older than that, but what I give myself grace for is mending that relationship and having those healthy conversations with Jerome to get past the bitterness that I was trying to continue to have, to be able to say, all right, look, I know what you went through when you were younger. We're young, we're both trying to figure it out. You don't even know who you are right now. I'm still trying to figure out who I am. You know, we both had a kid young. So what we need to do is figure out our lives, like try to figure out how we can communicate better, because this little kid is looking at us like, and we acting a fool. We out here just doing all types of stuff to get back at each other, trying to see who wins the battle, and we wonder why our son is acting out, because he's a sponge and he's absorbing everything. He's absorbing all of our energy.
So when we think about the title of the book, it's right here. Till death do we parent.
Till death do we parent.
Raising my kid with his dad, and you got a little smiley face in there too, and it's on a calendar. You know, where you're going back and forth and doing all of that. You're not getting along to this place where now you're creating a podcast and you guys are writing a book. Tell us a little bit more about how you got there.
For one, how I got there, right? Because when I met Rome, well, first of all, I met Rome, fell in love, but what I thought love was, being in love was at 19, and then I had my child, and I thought, right, this is the man I'm going to spend my life with. Because who signs up to meet someone, fall in love, have a kid, all to break up, and then you hate each other? Who signs up for that? Nobody really signs up for that. Life happens, and you got to figure out which way to pivot. You know, you got to figure out your new life, your new type of family. And that's what I had to do. I had to put that mindset behind me that, listen, he's going to wake up one day and not do the things he used to do. He's going to appreciate what's in front of him, and we're going to live happily ever after and have 5 more children and get married and everything's going to be perfect. No, that's not what it was. And I wasn't accepting of that for a while. But once I did, I had to change my mindset from that to, we can be a different type of family. We can have a different type of bond. We don't have to be together to raise this child the proper way and effectively. You know, that's when I set Rome down, and we set each other down, and we put everything on the table. He apologized for things that he's done, and he also opened up to me to tell me he doesn't understand why he's this way, and you know, maybe if he had gotten therapy for some of the things that happened in his childhood, then he would have a better outlook on relationships and women and how to move forward as a parent and all types of things. And I gave him grace, you know, hoping that there will be a better outcome, hoping that he'll grow up. And no, maybe this time he did get it. Okay, it wasn't really so much of what he said. I didn't realize that I hadn't gotten past him until he was right in my face, until I had seen him, because I had did my best to avoid him for months. And then he's leaving comments under my Facebook, like, I know you see me, it's about my son, I love you, I want my family. And I wasn't truthful with Emmanuel, because I thought, if I kept telling myself, you're over him, as long as you don't see him, out of sight, out of mind. But he's the father of your child, come on. Like, you know, I wasn't being realistic with myself, and I wasn't being realistic with Emmanuel either. So Emmanuel was trying to figure out, why are you avoiding him? Just go have the conversation. He's still your son's father. Like, it's okay. And I went and had a meeting, sat down with this man, and he told me everything I wanted to hear still. And I put that with the fact that I still had a little ounce of hope that he could get it right. And I went home. I thought I was doing something good. I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to cheat on my man with you. I'm going to go home. I'm going to break up with my man to give my family a second chance. A whole situation. And I broke that man's heart, went home, broke his heart, and then went out with Rome the next day. And then the next day, found out Rome had a baby on the way. She said, exactly. That's why when I wrote the book, I want the takeaway to be, you don't have to have a kid, right? This is really about relationships. Because my relationship with my parents is the same as it was. I still have a very strong bond with them, but even how they co-parent now separately, where I can't go to the house and see both of them. I gotta go see both of them separately. And so she's not triggered by certain things because, you know, she's over my dad, but not over all the hurt, you know. And then I gotta watch what I say to my dad about my mom because, you know, he misses her, and just certain things like that plays a part in why I wrote the book as well. You know, like I said, if you don't have kids, you can still reflect on seeing your mom and dad co-parent, how they raised you. You know, maybe you could solve some problems going, you know, writing my book from my experiences, you know.
So you're saying we get into Death Do We Parent workbook?
Death Do We Parent workbook. That's what I need. Yeah. What I learned about myself in that process was, I overcame a lot. I overcame a whole lot. I forgave a lot, and I never really pat myself on the back for how good I did, because I was just always looking at what I couldn't do for my son. And looking back on that story, I did a lot, and I deserve more grace for myself, to give myself more grace. I did that, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the best thing about writing the book to me.